Let's turn attention to the U.S. With less than 10 days left in the election, former First Lady Michelle Obama hits the campaign trail for the first time in support of Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. Mrs. Obama warned that another term under Republican nominee and former President Donald Trump would result in further rollbacks to abortion rights. Speaking alongside Mrs. Obama in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Kamala Harris warned Donald Trump would exercise unchecked and extreme power. We'll bring you more details on this as we move on. But let's bring in global affairs analyst Habib Salau, who joins us from Cincinnati, Ohio, for more on the election. Mr. Salau, let me begin by asking what the mood is like, counting down to the elections, and if you actually have been able to vote for a candidate of your choice in this election.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. There is a very high feeling of uncertainty in the air. People are living with a palpable fear of possible outcomes either way. And so this last-minute effort to ensure that votes can get swayed in favor of different candidates is not something they're playing with, considering the fact that we've seen how, in the past last-minute news or engagement have actually changed the outcome of the election. And I should vote today.
All right.
To answer your question.
All right, then. And it does appear that both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are neck and neck in this election. Do you foresee a major shift, before November 5?
I'm afraid I don't. I think a lot of minds have been made. However, considering the fact that with former President Trump, there's a very, very strong opinion, among his followers, except something extremely damaging comes up between now and the last day. I don't see how that will change the support that he currently enjoys.
All right, but both candidates have been receiving support from different sides. The Obamas are fully with Kamala Harris, and of course they've been championing that cause of reproductive rights. Of course, Elon Musk, on the other hand, is with Donald Trump, and he's not hiding his support for the former president. How much of an impact do you see these support forces have in influencing the election outcomes?
The personalities that you've mentioned have their base. They have people that follow them. However, I think it's deeper than that. For President Trump, he, to a very strong extent, still connects with his base, and many of the sentiments that the Obamas are trying to, ginger voters to pay attention to, do not mean anything to, deep core Republicans. So it's almost like, we're at a point where nobody knows what's going to happen. It's very dicey. The Republicans can, think it's an easy course to victory because, rather the Democrats, because they've seen what Donald Trump is capable of doing, especially with his base. So yes, it may get more people to vote, but the sad part of it is popular votes will not take you to the White House. So the core, states, the Electoral College, as it appears, is the decider in this case. And Donald Trump, to a very large extent, still has a very strong hold on his base. So it's going to be very, very close.
Very close. But eventually we know that someone would emerge winner in that election. One of the points that Elon Musk made when he was campaigning alongside Donald Trump was that he would save the United States about $2 trillion through what he calls a Department of Government Efficiency. How do you suppose this could pan out?
So, when billionaires begin to throw their weight behind political leaders, people need to step back a little bit to understand what exactly is in it for them and not the people. So with a lot of tax breaks and, the policies that tend to protect many of these so-called, wealthy men in America, I believe there is an ulterior motive behind the support that Elon is currently championing for President Trump. And it's not something that would, turn out well for day-to-day Americans. You would find out that in many cases, regular Americans even pay more taxes than these good billionaires. So you have to sit down and look at what the emergence of former President Trump as the president again would mean to you. And then we all know, most times they make it look like it's an African thing when they say, second term brings out the worst in people. It's the same everywhere. I believe if Donald Trump emerges, things are going to be tougher for Americans. And there'll be a lot of the division that we currently see, which pretty much became institutionalized or rather entrenched and strengthened when Donald Trump was president, will become worse. I don't know if you recently had this rally in New York where people came and were chanting racist slurs and all that. It would continue. He has been able to trigger the dividing factors between Americans more than the uniting factors. So, and Elon Musk saying that is mostly something from an economic advantage for people in this category.
All right, Mr. Salawu. I'll place you on hold for a moment. Let's take this report put together by a reporter on the countdown to the election, and we'll continue the conversation afterwards.
Thank you.
Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, billed as a triumphant homecoming, turned into a political fiasco on Sunday night as a pro-Trump comedian racist diatribe drew furious condemnation, including from prominent Republicans. The rally held just more than a week before the election and was intended to serve as a platform for Trump to make his closing arguments. But the racist slurs and vulgarity of the former president's opening act were striking and sparked backlash.
There's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there.
Democrats moved quickly to denounce the derogatory remarks and to split screen then with Vice President Kamala Harris, who had spent the day courting Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania and who had cut a video blasting Trump for withholding hurricane relief to the island even before his allies began their disparaging inhabitants. Meanwhile, Michelle Obama pleaded with the American men to consider the women in their lives when they vote in this election, delivering a strong message that a vote for Donald Trump will lead to a less reproductive freedom than ever before. The former First Lady gave an impassioned campaign speech in support of Kamala Harris, adding that Obama did not hold anything back during his time as president.
If your town gets hit by a natural disaster, who do you want looking out for you? Is it Donald Trump, who's spreading so many lies and conspiracy theories about climate change and FEMA that the workers in North Carolina trying to help folks clean up after the last hurricane were fearing for their safety? Or is it Kamala Harris, who has been meeting with local officials, comforting the families in that state and doing everything she can to get folks the help they need?
Vice President Kamala Harris held a campaign rally in Philadelphia during her remarks. Harris emphasized the election is just a few days away.
We are all here together because we also understand how high the stakes are at this very moment. Philly, we've got 9 days. 9 days. 9 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. And we know this is going to be a tight race until the very end. So we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Former President Donald Trump joined 20 speakers in the rally on Sunday, which is about a week before the presidential election. He talked about the issue of illegal immigration, saying that it will allow the death penalty for illegal immigrants who kill citizens. Trump also said he will get rid of sanctuary cities.
And you know, I want to thank Mayor Adams, because Mayor Adams has been treated pretty badly. You know, when he said that this whole thing with the migrants coming into New York, this is just not sustainable. You know, we can't do it. We're trying to run a city. We got 100,000 migrants coming. We can't do it. It just can't do it. It's not feasible. It's not good. He said it very nicely. I said, well, he's going to be indicted by these lunatics. A year later, he got indicted.
At a campaign rally for former President Donald Trump in New York, Elon Musk had said he had saved the United States $2 trillion through a Department of Government Efficiency. Musk did not elaborate policy changes or spending cuts he will implement if he were to join the second Trump administration.
So this is a real battle. This is a real election battle. So you need to get friends and family to vote. Make sure they vote early. This is important.
Oh, my guest, global affairs analyst Habib Salawu, is still right there. Mr. Salawu, before we took that report, you were talking about the backlash which Donald Trump's rally on Sunday has been receiving. How much do you see that impact the election, considering it's just 8 days?
It wouldn't make much of a difference. He has been very consistent with his rhetoric. He has been consistent with his approach. He's also he's made people name calling his main strong point. He has been, and I think a lot of people, psychologically, maybe it's I wouldn't call it some sort of Stockholm syndrome, but people are kind of like used to, his way of, using derogatory words to attack his opponents, and they like it. They've never frowned at it. It has been like this since he started his presidential race the first time. So it's gone on. It is nothing he's going to say now or do that would possibly sway the votes in the way of Kamala, except something extremely damaging, which I do not foresee. Donald Trump, like he had said it before, that he could walk on Fifth Avenue and shoot people and nothing is going to happen. I mean, we're at the place where he has been indicted. There are a lot of charges against him, and he still commands the kind of support that triggers, excites him. And many of his supporters are closet, supporters of Donald Trump. You wouldn't see them outside, but many share the sentiments that the messages that he puts out every time. So what that talk about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage, a lot of people think like that as well. So maybe the Latinas and the Hispanic voters, Hispanic voters may be upset by it. They don't have the number that's enough to switch this if he decides to go Donald Trump's way.
All right. And perhaps that throws up the question of what really do Americans want, in this election? Because, of course, these candidates have been campaigning, using different strategies. You have Kamala Harris talk about reproductive rights, freedom for individuals. And as a matter of fact, even Michelle Obama told American men, when you want to vote, think about the women in your lives. And we have Donald Trump going all the way talking about illegal migration, NATO and all of those. What really do Americans want?
So it tells you about about priorities. As a man, a father of girls, I believe a woman should have exclusive rights over her body and what she does with it. So I share the sentiment that the Democrats have with reproductive rights. I don't think men should sit or decide how women treat their bodies, what they do with unwanted pregnancies and all of that. So I'm with them on that. On the issue of illegal immigration, there is this fear, and I keep asking people that, especially those who are citizens or permanent residents or people who are eligible to work in America. Has there ever been any time, because there's this thing that illegal immigrants are taking our jobs. Has there ever been any time that you applied for any job and you lost it because it was given to somebody that crossed into America all the way from Guatemala? So what is this fear that you have with illegal immigrants, considering the fact that we're all immigrants in this country, however far back you want to go? So there's this, and you would find it everywhere, where there's this divide between indigenous people and people that are migrating, and illegal immigration. Yes, it comes with its concerns. There have been criminals that have crossed over into America. But how many? When you look at the numbers,
Well, questions. And
You know,
November 5,
so
it's almost here. You know, November 5 is almost here. Wait to see what both popular votes and the electoral college decide in this very, very crucial election. And Global Affairs analyst Habib Salawu, thank you so much for talking to us on World Now.